and welcome to our third and final counseling session. Today we'll be doing a counseling session with Nicole. How you doing today, Nicole?
Fine.
Good. So we're going to open up like we do always with an icebreaker, and then we're going to be going into talking about, Nicole's going to be going back to school after a little bit of a layoff. So we're going to be talking about tips she can implement that's going to help her transition back into school kind of smoothly. So we'll go into that. But first, we're going to do our icebreaker, and our icebreaker is going to be Desert Island. So Desert Island is just a game where Nicole's going to think of 3 things that she cannot live without, that she'd have to have on a desert island if she was stranded. So we're going to give Nicole a couple minutes to think about that. And then I'll think of maybe one that I'd like to have, but she's going to think about that for a little bit. I'm going to check the video, make sure it's still recording. I'll be right back. What do you think, Nicole? You're awfully quiet over there. Are you going to say anything?
My husband.
Your husband, okay.
Pocket knife.
Your husband and a pocket knife. That's a bad combo. You're gonna
Not
kill
for the
your.
husband.
Are you gonna kill your husband?
And how about an unlimited supply of water?
An unlimited supply of water. That's kind of a big ask to have. But how would you get that? Like fresh water on the island, maybe, like a waterfall or something?
Sure.
Because they're not gonna drop water bottles from a helicopter, I don't think, for you. So
maybe just fresh water somewhere.
So a fresh supply of water.
Yeah.
Your husband. And a knife.
I promised a knife.
A pocket knife? Why do you say a pocket knife?
Okay, just a knife.
What are you gonna do with the knife?
Hunt.
Hunt? Okay.
Not my husband.
Okay. Maybe trim your toenails with it?
Gross.
No?
No.
Okay. I would have on a desert island, if I was there, a volleyball, because I saw the movie Castaway, and I'd put a handprint on it, so I'd have someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I would also want water, and I would also want some type of plant or somewhere to grow food, basically.
Okay. That's
Okay.
pretty good.
Pocket knife, I don't think I really need a pocket knife. You could
But
probably
you don't
catch
want
it.
to. You don't want to take your wife. You'd rather have the volleyball to talk to.
I could catch. That's a good point. Yeah, my wife and the volleyball. In case I don't mind get mad at my wife, I'd want to talk to the volleyball and then the water. So okay. So we're going to move on from our icebreaker. We're going to talk about Nicole's going back to school. She's had a layoff from school for a little bit. How long have you been out of school now? Because you were out of school for a while, went back to school.
Year and a half. But by the time I go back, it'll be 2 years.
So you had a little bit of a break, but you did go back. Sorry, you did go back to school after having a longer layoff. So it's not going to be like a transition for you if you've been out of school for like 20 years, right? You kind of have an idea of what. Yeah. And were you pretty successful when you went back to school for that a couple years ago?
Straight A's.
Perfect. Okay. What are you pursuing in school?
Degree in interior design.
A degree in interior design. Okay, perfect. So let's talk a little bit about how you're going to manage going back to school, because obviously you're married, right?
Yep.
You have kids?
Yep.
How many kids do you have?
3 boys.
3 boys. And do you work?
Yes.
You work. Okay. So the first thing we kind of put up there that we're going to look at is back to school tips for you is trying to find a way to balance all 3 of those things. So work, your family, and school, because each of them are kind of their own thing that you have to manage. So talk to us a little bit how you feel like you might manage that when you go back to school. When are you going back to school, by the way?
Fall 2019.
So like August, September?
I days of August.
Okay.
I'll go by.
So tell us, when that is coming up, what are you going to start doing to get in the right frame of mind? Because obviously you'll probably start doing that before the first day of school, right? You're going to have to start planning a little bit. So how are you going to balance all that stuff?
Well, I already discussed with my boss that I'm going to be going back to school, and it's going to be 2 days a week during the week that I'm unavailable.
Okay. And those are the 2 days you're going to school?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I've taken care of work.
Keep talking. I'm going to check the video, make sure it's recording.
Okay. Family. My husband is going to be able to take care of the kids.
Okay.
Because his schedule's not as full as it has been.
Okay.
And preparing for school, I'll just make sure I have all my supplies and books and time to commute back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you thinking about taking classes in the evening, during the day, or you're just kind of waiting to see when the schedule comes out?
They're only offered in the morning and afternoon.
Okay.
So I know that. I'm not sure if it's going to be a Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday yet.
Okay, good. All right, so the next one we have up there is, I know you've struggled in the past with test anxiety, and you kind of get anxious if you have to take a test or something like that. And I don't know if the interior designs are going to have tests per se, but they might. So what are some of the things you think you might be looking at to help you cope with that test anxiety?
Rest, food, snacks.
Rest, food.
Make sure I'm not hungry when I'm going in there.
Okay. What about, what can you do to make sure, rest, food, snacks, that's stuff that you should be doing anyways, but what's the best way to make sure that...
Sometimes I don't.
Well...
Too busy taking care of kids or rushing from work or whatever. And
so let's say that those are, you're going to take care of those, right? Those are good to go. So what's the one thing you can do you think that is a benefit for you when you step in and you're taking a test?
I don't know. Are you talking at all about like studying for the test and being prepared?
Yeah, of course. Like preparation.
Okay, well.
Do you feel like you're always prepared when you're taking a test, or sometimes maybe you're not the most prepared?
Usually I am prepared, however, I always feel like I'm not prepared enough.
Okay. So is it more with you that when you take a test you just get anxious?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
So maybe putting some strategies into place so you don't get so anxious, just telling yourself you're going to trust yourself when you take a test, something like that. Yeah. Anything else to add to that?
No, I've found what works well for me in studying. So I usually prepare pretty well with the material.
Mm-hmm.
However, I still get test anxiety, and I'm always worried that I'm going to be the last one taking the test, which is usually the case, which I've kind of overcome that. It doesn't really bother me if I'm the last person in there taking a test.
Okay.
I guess I worry about running out of time.
Yeah, that's another thing. So, time management when you're taking the test, you just gotta. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if it's multiple choice or you don't know it, it's always better to move on to the next question and just take care of that one. So that's always good too. So the next one we have is rest. I think you already talked a little bit about rest, but we can add on that. And I'm going to check the camera. So just briefly touch on that a little bit, rest, and then I'll come back.
Rest, just making sure I have a time that I make sure I get enough sleep, go to bed, there's no interruptions. Yeah.
Anything else to add to that?
Um,
Sorry, I got to keep checking the time on there, so make sure it's still recording. So good. So the last thing we'll go over is support system. Support system. It sounds like you kind of touched on that already too, but your support system sounds like your husband's going to be one of those people. What's another someone else or other people that you can maybe add to your support system, especially when you go back to school?
I don't know.
Maybe your instructor.
Oh, sure.
Like your instructor, you can let them know that you're, saying sometimes instructors are easy to work with, saying you're coming back to school after a couple years and you want to make sure that you're managing everything, correctly. So a teacher might be, or instructor might be someone, maybe a fellow student in the class. You could, have like if you have to study or get together, have like a study group or something like that.
Okay.
Anything else you think of, or
No.
nothing else? No? Okay. Anything else you want to add about going to school?
No.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Well, good. Well, I don't have anything else to add. This was kind of just wanted to get your input on it, since you're the one going back to school. So if that's all you have, then I think we'll go ahead and end it. I want to thank Nicole for being a part of the last counseling session. I appreciate it. Any final things to add? You're not going to kill your husband with that pocket knife, you sure?
I hope not.
Okay, well, that concludes our session 3. Thanks you, Nicole, and thank you, everybody. Bye.